What is good, guys? How is everyone doing? Welcome to the stream. Actually, we can do headshot now. Here we are. Hello. Welcome to the stream, guys. I hope everyone is doing well. It is obviously the election week, so I just wanted to take a quick minute before we actually start the stream to say, be very careful. There's a no news day today. It's no news Monday. And then tomorrow is the election. So today we're going to see extreme volatility. It's going to be very unpredictable. And then tomorrow it's going to be like that on steroids. So you need to be really, really careful. Tomorrow's stream, we're going to be going over the election. It's going to be a longer stream, 1 hour, 2 hours long, where I'm going to be educating you on how to deal with the election. We're going to be looking at trade positions, obviously. And then also we're going to be reviewing the election, watching the results live and all of that stuff and seeing how we get on. So make sure you tune in for tomorrow's stream. It's going to be a banger. But let's get into today's stream. We are currently in a trade. Good afternoon, Dan. How are you doing? We're going to get into the charts right now. So if we just jump onto the chart. There we go. Slightly fresh format, lighter colors, all that stuff. We are currently in a trade. We are at break even. So the stops are at break even. We're risk free in this trade now. We're seeing how it plays out. I'm playing a 5-minute AMD cycle. As you can see, you should be able to see the manipulation to the upside and my entry there. And yeah, we're just going to let this play out now. We're going to see how this plays out. We are quite near entries, and we're coming up to this fair value gap here, which we are messing around in. We've come into this 15-1 over here if we just drag that to the right-hand side. So if you want to take your entry, you still can. It's a little bit risky, as I'm risk-free now. But if you want to take your entry, you still can. But yeah, hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's had a good weekend, ready to make some money this week. It's going to be a very difficult week to navigate, as I've discussed, because of the election, because of the no news today, and because I think there's no news on Wednesday as well, or something. If we look at the fundamentals now for Wednesday, we can see what's going on here. So today, no news, JPY bank holiday. Tomorrow is obviously just the election. There's a bit other bits and pieces here and there, but the main priority here is the elections that are going on all day tomorrow, which we need to be very, very careful for. I doubt I'm going to be trading tomorrow, but we're going to be looking for those positions, as I said on like the first minute of this live stream. Wednesday is another no news day, so it's looking like Thursday, Friday are going to be the only good days to trade. Really, it's going to be very hard to navigate the other days, and that's because we don't have news. Plus, not only do we not have news, which is, an issue in itself, but we also have, anticipation of the election, then the election itself, and then the outcome of the election. The day after the election, it's going to be a little bit sloppy after that, as market is reacting to that. We've touched on how the market's going to react, but what's going on really, and this is where you need to take note, what's going on is basically over the weekend, Trump lost a lot of odds. Now, Trump was, highly likely to win the election before the weekend, and the markets are quite bullish around Trump, especially crypto. Especially crypto. If you look at Bitcoin, it's starting to move a little bit more bearish now, but basically, and it's consolidating really, but basically we were factoring in a Trump election. That's what's happening. So today and tomorrow, or today really, the rest of today, tomorrow early morning, is going to be basically factoring in a win or a loss for Trump. Now, what's happened is all of last week, we were basically factoring in a Trump win. That's why we started to go extremely bullish last week. We were coming near all-time highs on Bitcoin. If we just go to the weekly chart, you can see that. Last week, we came all the way up to here and wicked all the way back down. Very strong, very big top wick here. And that is because, as I've said, we basically went up, anticipating a Trump win. And then we started to move to the downside because the odds for Trump are starting to decrease, basically. That's what's going on. God has played out AMD to perfection on the 15-minute. We'll have a look at gold in a sec, Dan. But yeah, we've touched on this. We're going to cover this in depth tomorrow, what's actually going on. But all I need to say, really, is that it's Trump hasn't got the highest probabilities anymore. Now, that is bearish for crypto. Because Kamala is all about regulation. She's about regulating things, and especially crypto. She's looking to regulate crypto as well, which, isn't necessarily a good or bad thing, really. unless you're into like all the conspiracy theories. But the crypto market as a whole doesn't tend to like regulation much. So because of that, if Kamala's more likely to win, as the odds rise, as the percentages rise, as the results come in, it's going to start moving down. As results for Trump come in, it's going to move up. It's going to be a shit show. Really, that's like, I don't really need to say much else. But that's what's going on. That's what happened last week. We started factoring a Trump win, and then the odds started to decrease a little bit. So we started to move back down because Kamala is all about regulating crypto and regulating other things as well, but specifically crypto here. So therefore, the market started to factor that in and start to head down a little bit. It's all about finding the right price for everyone, and that's why it affects that so heavily. But yeah, and obviously it's going to affect the dollar, which affects everything else. Let's just see what's going on with this trade. Okay, so we haven't got took yet. It looks like we're probably going to be took soon though. But yeah, so tomorrow it's going to be an absolute mess. Today it's going to be an absolute mess because of the no news. We're just going to sit here and basically analyze all these pairs that you can see on the right hand side, and then obviously see if there's any positions there. Good afternoon, good morning, how you doing? Make sure you like up the stream, guys, and make sure you're here tomorrow. It's going to be an absolute banger of a stream tomorrow. We're going to go through everything we need to go through. We're going to be doing polls, questions, obviously a lot of educational stuff, a lot of trade, not a lot of trades, a lack of trades probably more than anything. Yeah, it's going to be great. But for this stream, we're just going to basically go through the charts now, analyze what's going on, and yeah, we move from there. So on the daily, on GBP JPY, we are looking very bearish. I think I'm about to get took break even on that trade now, so it's safe to just do this. Just write that off. And that's another thing, it's very hard to trade no news days. It's very sideways, very indecisive, because we don't know when there's going to be volatility coming in. It's just random, near enough. But what we're looking at here is more bearish than anything. I was expecting maybe a bullish retracement up to this up here and then maybe move down, but it looks like we're just trying to move down now. Now this will be the distribution move on the daily time frame, which we have been talking about for a while now. All the way from over here, we've been talking about how this is going to be the accumulation. We're looking to manipulate up and then distribute down, and look what is happening. We're starting to accumulate here, or we have accumulated here. We've manipulated up a bit higher than I thought we were going to. We came into this daily fair value gap, as you can see. I think that's the weekly up here though, maybe a 4 hour, but a little bit higher than expected. We then obviously started to distribute down. Now this is aligning on the weekly as well. The weekly is bearish. If you've seen my market outlook, you'll understand the bearish bias for GBP JPY. We're not really going to touch on that any further. But yeah, so we're just going to sit here, wait for this setup to occur, wait for a nice setup to occur. If there is one, we're going to wait for the grade A setup, nothing more, nothing less. We need a perfect setup today. It's extremely risky to trade. We've gone over that multiple times. Bitcoin isn't really saying much. We've got a clear accumulation here. This might be the manipulation starting to take place now. What we'd look for is price to take out this low, maybe take out this low, or even just form a candlestick pattern inside of this fair value gap here. We'll see how that goes. Gold, I think Dan was talking about gold. Is this on the 5 minute, Dan? Here? Yeah, I think, is this what you're talking about? We've got a clear accumulation right here. Then we manipulated up, took out this high, and distributed down to the other side of the accumulation range. That's one whole AMD cycle. We do not necessarily need to continue any further, but we might. The only issue is, I think today we probably won't, because no news Monday, all that stuff, we've gone over that. So what we'd be looking for, just simply off the bat of drawing this consolidation, you can see the whole AMD cycle is played out, which means we'd be looking for necessarily the same thing again. That's basically what I want to say. We're looking for the same thing again here. So yeah, we just got to wait on the 5 minute for gold. Bitcoin manipulation, USD JPY. I don't really trade that. Very, very messy, as you can see. This is probably, out of all of these pairs, this is probably as close to the DXY as you can get. Now what we're going to do tomorrow, what we're going to be doing is basically going over the DXY, going over the NASDAQ, going over the S&P, going over the Dow Jones, going over GBP JPY, obviously going over Bitcoin and going over gold. So we're going to be focusing more on the pairs that are going to be most affected, on the things that are going to be most affected by the election, which is obviously the dollar, obviously the New York stocks like the NASDAQ, Dow Jones, all that stuff, the American stocks. Obviously it's going to be Bitcoin, and obviously it's going to be gold as well. So we're going to look at all those pairs specifically tomorrow, and GBP JPY. But yeah, so USD JPY is pretty messy. We're just going to delete that. GBP USD, look at that. Like, this is what a No News Monday does. This is what it is. Just one consolidation. But we've got that consolidation. Obviously, then to pivot out of that, we look for a manipulation into a higher time frame fair value gap. There is obviously this gap up, which we got on this. I think that was yesterday. Obviously, it was. So we look to fill this gap at some point. Exactly what happened last week on GBP JPY, guys, is basically the same thing on GBP USD here. We'd look to come down and fill this gap in, and then see what happens. But what you're seeing right now is basically the market's kind of correcting, because over the weekend, Kamala got a lot of endorsements. If you've been active on Twitter, and if you aren't active on Twitter, get active on Twitter. And if you are active on Twitter, follow my X account. I'm not too sure where the link is, but if you just search my name up, probably appear, Josh Williams FX. But yeah, Kamala has had a lot of endorsements from celebrities such as Cardi B. And that's the only one that comes to my head. But there's been quite a few, a lot more than there was last week and the week before. And, you know, they're very high up people, you know, famous celebrities. So, you know, the probability that Kamala's going to win has gotten higher over the weekends whilst the markets were closed. So when the markets have reopened, they're basically correcting themselves to catch up with that sort of point of view that Kamala's going to win. But GBP USD consolidation, just wait for a pivot out in a manipulation, and then you can look at trading the distribution. What we'd want to see is a distribution to the downside to fill in this gap, and that would be, you know, then you'd have this confluence on your side as well, rather than being against you. Like if we manipulate down to fill out this gap, or if we manipulate down full stop, it's going to be very hard to look for areas to distribute to the upside once we've filled this gap. And even whilst we're filling it, to be fair. Swiss franc, JPY, very, very messy, as you can see. But it looks like we've got a nice manipulation here, coming to fill this gap from Friday, which was not even like a close and an open. That was just literally the next candle open. So probably going to come up and fill that gap at some point. It looks like we're about to do that now. If we do that, you could look at, you know, catching a reversal inside this range, inside this area here. You could get that candlestick pattern and trade it to the downside. We're going to get rid of all this higher time frame stuff. We don't really need it now. But yeah, make sure you're liking up the stream, guys. It does really help. If you're new, subscribe. I'm live every single day at this time without a fail. But yeah, so Swiss franc, JPY, looking for that manipulation. GBP USD, looking for that manipulation. Gold, we're waiting for that next accumulation because we've just distributed, and it looks like we've, geez. So if you got out here, Dan, well played. Perfect take profit placements. GBP USD, yep, Swiss franc, right, Euro USD. We have had that manipulation to the upside, as you can see. So it'll be looking to fill this gap over here. And even come down and fill this gap down here as well. So you could look at catching this whole entire move to the downside. But, you know, taking out the fundamentals, it obviously makes sense to do that. But then factoring in the fundamentals, it doesn't really make sense to hold the trade all the way down to here. But, you know, you could have your full TP here and look to manage at certain spots like this and like this. Now, we've had that clear accumulation, clear manipulation to the upside. Taking out the previous high over here, which gives us a bearish retracement. We've had that bearish retracement. Wish I had. So yeah, you know, we're looking for that continuation of distribution, coming to take out the other side of the accumulation range, and maybe even coming to fill this gap. But as I said, factoring in the fundamentals, it doesn't really make the most sense. AUD USD. same thing. Like you'll notice a common thing with the GU, with the EU, with the AU. They all kind of look the same. We've all had one massive gap up. They've all had one massive gap up, which tells me one thing. It's not the GBP having a gap up with the Euro and the AUD all at the same time, like a massive coincidence. It's because the USD is factoring in that Kamala win in the election, which it wasn't actually anticipating on the Friday close. So we've had that. GBP JPY, that's obviously for videos, but yeah. Let's see what this trade's saying. So we have obviously pushed right up now on GJ. So this is looking like a distribution move, accumulation and distribution. Unfortunately, we got tapped break even here. Probably lost a little bit to commissions and spread, but it's what it is. But yeah, like, that's pretty much it. Like, it's very, very hard to maneuver this, guys. You've just got to wait for that perfect setup, as always. Until then, you know, just got to be patient. Patience is a virtue. It's probably one of the most important things when it comes to trading. You can have the right strategy. You can have the right risk management plan. But if you're not patient enough to wait for your setup and you're just trading here and there, everywhere, you're not going to be profitable. You've got to wait for that perfect setup. And it's going to be very unlikely that we'll get a perfect setup between now and, you know, Wednesday night, something like that, Thursday morning. But we can still monitor the charts. Bitcoin. Clear AMD cycle there. Gold. GU. We've gone over all these, but we'll just sit here now and just wait and see what happens on GJ. We've had this AMD cycle here. Then we've had a smaller one over here as well on the 5 minute. But yeah, we are bearish on GJ this week. We are looking for sells mainly. Also, if you want to, what was I going to say? If you want to see how I trade like this, or you want to learn how I trade like this, join my free course, which is the first or second link in the description. It takes you to the What page for the free course. You join that, and you get instant access to like 6, 7 in-depth guides. I think you learn AMD, liquidity, fair value gaps, and some other little bits and pieces which I found valuable. But yeah, we just kind of got to chill now, guys. We just chill here, see what's going on GJ. Let's just look at the hourly very quickly. See, I was looking at a 4-hour AMD cycle coming to the other side of this range. I caught the move up from here to up here and closed out because it was the weekend, because we were coming into the weekend. It looks like it was the right decision. Looks like it's starting to accumulate on the 4-hour on Bitcoin. Hourly AMD cycle here, to be fair. Hourly right here. Could look at taking buys, but there's not really any fair value gap. There is this one, a very small one. I don't know if you can see that. Let's just zoom in. Right here, which we have inverted. We kind of came back and filled it here, but we formed it, inverted it, and we can use it now, I guess. But you'd look for probably a deeper move down. If we go to the 2-hour, not much. 4-hour, no fair value gap here. There is this one, which we have respected, which we could come back and retest before moving up. But as I said, like it's all fun and games, identifying the technicals, but you need to acknowledge the fact that the fundamentals are going to overpower the technicals this week, especially tomorrow. You know, we're not going to see a perfect play playing out as it normally would if the election goes against it. Do you know what I'm saying? So Bitcoin on the 1 hour, you know, you could look for a move down into this fair value gap over here, this one here. Look for some form of candlestick pattern. You know, we've gone over this multiple times, and then trade to the other side of that range up to 69,000. Could even look on the 15 for that pattern. Maybe get in a little bit earlier, but very clean accumulation right here. Hopefully a very clean manipulation. You could look at taking that move. I probably will take that move as well, depending on what time we form it. And I'm going to be closing all my trades before the close tonight. Definitely. But it looks like it came back into that small inverse fair value gap that I've just labeled. Reacted to it nicely. See how we respect it. See if we bounce up off of it or push through to the bottom one. Also, the setup is getting an upgrade, guys. I want to talk about that as well. The setup's getting an upgrade. You're not going to have this ugly grey background much longer. You know, we're getting some foam. I tried putting it on here. I don't know if you can see that. Try putting it on here. Doesn't really seem to work. So I've ordered some extra stuff to help put it on. And basically, we're going to have this acoustic foam, I think it's called. Acoustic foam. We got upgrade on the clothes. We got trim coming soon. We also got bigger desk, monitors, fresh laptop, all that lovely stuff. So it should run a little bit smoother. I'm looking at upgrading the live streams as well, the live stream format. I don't really like how it looks right now. It looks too, I don't know, nerdy. I don't know if you know what I mean. But looking to upgrade that as well. Yeah, it's coming soon. Then obviously we've got the holiday in Florida in about literally 10 days from now. That's when I'll be going. So I think the whole week of the 11th. So this is the last week I'll be doing streams for now until I get back or until I'm on holiday. The way this would work, just a heads up, balling out of control. Yeah. Hey, how are you? I'm good, thank you. Balling out of control. But yeah, so as I was saying, going to Florida soon. You know, upgrading that desk, the setup, everything else. And I was talking about something. Live streams. There we go. So we'll do the streams this week as normal. The election special stream tomorrow, which is going to be nice. Looking forward to that. Make sure you tune in. And then obviously the 11th is my birthday. So then obviously that whole week, it's also a bank holiday on the 11th. Plus, I'm traveling on the 13th/the 14th, so I won't be doing a stream on either of those days, which means if I was to do streams next week, the only days would be the 12th and the 15th, which makes it kind of pointless. You know, save everyone the ball ache of just catching up with the schedule. I'm just going to write off the whole week, so no streams next week at all. Then, on the 18th, they return again, back to normal, with an upgrade on the live stream setup. Then when we come back from holiday, we'll have an upgraded setup. We'll have the acoustic foam in the background. We'll have a few other little bits and pieces hanging up on the wall behind me. We'll have fresh LEDs. Like I used to have LEDs underneath me, and they used to like light up a little bit better, but they don't seem to work. So I've ordered some new ones. Got some fresh, like this is a bit. I don't know if you can see this. Can we track that on? This getting an upgrade as well. It's a Philips one, I think it is. But, you know, everything's getting an upgrade. So the fresh lighting, we're getting a lighting. Oh, yeah, we're getting lighting as well. I forgot to say that. I'm really looking forward to all this. We're getting lighting. Like, you know, the lighting stands you see in the photography places. We're getting that. So the lighting should look a bit better, so you can see my ugly face better. Probably not a good thing. And then, yeah, so that's the lighting, the desk, the monitors, the background, the clothes, the holiday. It's all kicking off this month. November is going to be a very good month for us, guys. The live streams are getting a fresh format as well. I'm going to find out the best format to use. I'm going to get someone to just basically design a good format. I'm going to get a production team in, helping me out with that. But yeah, It's all going to be kicking off in November, guys. Keep an eye out for that. We're really looking forward to it. But back to Bitcoin. Looks like it's pushing down to this one that we've already filled. As you know, like the best fair value gaps, we've discussed this, I think. The best fair value gaps are obviously the ones that are formed in the most recent move. Like this fair value gap here, you know, it's not ones from like 4 moves ago. Like you wouldn't use, here's a good example. This fair value gap right over here, that one, that very small one, you wouldn't use that one when price is coming up. Obviously, it's kind of respected it, and this brings me into my point. You should know that fair value gaps are simply just support and resistance. Now, support and resistance, very basic stuff. A lot of traders like to think they're above retail traders. We're all retail traders. Retail trading isn't a way of trading. It's how much is in your account. But what a lot of traders like to do is they like to poo on support and resistance, like to shit on support and resistance. They think it's rubbish, they think it's bad, and then they'll go and use fair value gaps, they'll go and use order blocks, and they'll go and use liquidity. All 3 of those things are forms of support and resistance. Now, when you draw a support and resistance zone, right, this is the issue. This is why fair value gaps are actually better than support and resistance, although they're the same thing. Because you trade a fair value gap, which is obviously a very quick move up, isn't it? It's a very quick move up, or obviously a very quick move down if it's a bearish fair value gap. But it's a very quick move in either direction. Now, what that is basically, you'll see it. If we go to a lower time frame, I'll show you this example, then we'll go onto the chart and actually look at it. But you'll see, you know, we'll have like a nice move up like this, doing, something like this. Whatever it is, consolidation, doesn't have to be, but you can see a very clear resistance zone right here, yeah? What a fair value gap is a very specific break. It's a break like this, where we don't come up and then come straight back down. It's a break, and then when we trade the retest, when we fill the imbalance, what we're doing is basically just taking into account this. We're just getting in when we retrace back and treating it like a support zone. So it's like we have a resistance in a bullish fair value gap. We have a resistance zone. We break the resistance, come back, respect it, and turn it into a support zone. Now, on a higher time frame, this will just simply be a fair value gap, and that's what you trade. Okay, so it is literally the same thing. I'm going to prove it to you in a second, but it's basically the same thing. Now, obviously, the issue with trading support and resistance is that you can't just trade every single tap. You don't trade every single tap of support and resistance, and you want these higher probability support and resistance zones, which is where fair value gaps come into play, because they're a specific break, which is typically followed by a explosive reaction to respecting it. Now, the best fair value gaps are obviously the most recent ones. Like, if we continue this drawing, let's say, we come up here, then we come back down, then we come back up, and we have a fair value gap. Let's say we have a fair value gap over here instead. Yeah, so we come back up again. You wouldn't use this one from this move up. You wouldn't use this fair value gap from this move up here. But it is a support and resistance zone, so you can actually expect price to respect it still. It's just not as strong a probability. Because if you understand support and resistance, you'll understand that the more times a support and resistance zone has been tapped, the more likely it is to be broken. So it's typically like 4 or 5 taps. On the 5th tap, it'll typically break it. But yeah, that's why sometimes this teaches you 2 things. This is why the most recent fair value gaps are the ones that you can rely on more. But it's also why old fair value gaps sometimes still get respected, because they are a support and resistance zone. So now that I've proven that to you, now that I've shown you the example of what I'm talking about, what we're going to do is we're going to go onto an easy pair with, you know, nice fair value gaps here. We're going to go to the nice 4-hour time frame. And what we'll do is we'll look at, let's say we'll look at this one. It's the previous highs. It's kind of new highs. We'll look for an area that's basically prices being around for a little bit. We got this one here. So you can see this fair value gap here. Obviously, we didn't end up respecting it, but it is a fair value gap. Now, if we go to a lower time frame, I'm going to go back over to this. If we go to a lower time frame now, you should be able to see this. So this is on the 4-hour. This is a 4-hour fair value gap. We go to the 30-minute. We go to the 1-hour time frame. You can see a very clear support and resistance zone right here. If we just drag this out, drag it down, there we go. Clear resistance zone right here. And that's what that is. It's a specific break of that resistance. So we have the resistance, we tap it multiple times, then we break it, which creates the fair value gap. So instead of trading every single tap, instead of going, okay, we just touched it, boom, we're going to sell. Okay, we touched it again, we're going to sell. Okay, we've come up here, we touched it, we're going to sell. You just wait for a specific break of that support and resistance. Not like a slow climb up above. Not like this, not like this. You look for a very fast move up, fast move down, fast continuation, just like that. That's what you look for. Now, obviously, it didn't end up getting respected, but this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. It is a resistance zone. If we go to the left-hand side, it may even prove that even further. If we drag it out, you can see it was a resistance. We broke through it, turned it into it was a support zone. We broke through it, turned it into a resistance, and then obviously broke it again, forming the fair value gap. That's what a fair value gap is. Now, a lot of people think they're above support and resistance. They're above, it's very basic stuff. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Now, it is basic to simply just trade support and resistance, but it does work. I used to do it. But, it's quite stupid because they are literally the same thing. Liquidity, I don't even need to prove my point with liquidity, I don't think, because it is literally just previous highs and previous lows. The exact same thing as support and resistance. And also, a support and resistance is where price has touched and come back from very quickly, touched and gone up from very quickly. That's liquidity. Don't even need to prove my point with that, do I, really? But that's just one example. We're going to look at a few more examples. So if we just skip through this, go back to where we were. Right. Let's see what's going on. So let's just use the most recent example. Let's see what that looks like here. So we've got a few fair value gaps here. We got back to back to back. We've got one here, and one here. And I've taught you what to do when this happens. You just go up a few time frames and look for the one. There we are. There is one. One fair value gap right here. Now, this is quite a big fair value gap, so it's going to be very hard to identify. It's probably going to be near the top, the resistance or support zone. But you can pretty much see that if we just, because it was such a massive displacement, it's not going to be this is the support zone, is it really? Let's be honest. But you can see that right away. If we draw that over here, we haven't been here for a while, so we need to drag it to the left-hand side as well. But you can see that. You can see it very, very clearly. We've got a very clear respect. Obviously, this wasn't really respecting it, but this was, tapped it here, messed around here, specific break, messed around here, tapping around, and obviously here as well, we respected it and then broke through it, made that imbalance. It's a very specific break of a support and resistance zone. It's very messy, this area. It's not the best example, but it still proves my point. It's still correct. It's still there to see. Same with liquidity. What you do with support and resistance, if you know how to trade support and resistance, you look at areas that have been tapped and respected multiple times. So there'd be one here, and there'd also be one around about here. But see that here? That's also liquidity. Also liquidity over here. Because they're the same thing, just with fancy names. So, you can just trade support and resistance. But as I said, they are the same thing, but fair value gaps are better because they are a specific break of support and resistance. You're not trading every single break. You're not trading every single tap of that resistance, of that support zone. You're trading a specific support and resistance break, which is the fair value gap. So I just wanted to explain that very quickly. When there's people trying to shit on you, or just shitting on retail traders, the definition of retail is small accounts, not trading anything but fair value gaps. A lot of ICT traders, it's quite toxic, to be honest. You see it on Twitter. If you use Twitter, if you follow traders on Twitter, you'll see it. It's very toxic. A lot of people like to shit on people who use support and resistance because it's very basic. And don't get me wrong, it is basic, but they are literally using the exact same thing. It is all support and resistance, as I've just shown you. But yeah, that's the rant over. I just wanted to teach you that, to be honest, though. It is quite, valuable. A lot of people don't even know that. But yeah, that's literally all it is. Like, I don't think there's much else to discuss now. We've gone over that. Make sure you like the stream, though, guys. And make sure you join tomorrow's stream where I'm doing the election live. I'm going to be in a suit and tie. Very fancy. We're We're going to be having party poppers as well, like, you know, the little things that you shoot off, red and blue. We're going to have a bunch of decorations. We're going to have a new format. We're going to have a bunch of new stuff tomorrow. It's going to be a really cool stream tomorrow. It's going to be a fun stream. We're going to be chilling. Not necessarily trading. We're just going to be chilling, watching the election, seeing what's going on there, educating you. I'm going to obviously be very educating, very educative, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the word is. But I'm going to be, you know, dropping lots of gems, providing tons of value on the election. Now, one thing as well is that the election is every 4 years. So you can only really trust a trader that's been trading for 4 years to tell you what's going on with an election. Now, I'm going to be honest, I have not been trading for 4 years. I've been trading for 3 years. But I have backtested. I've backtested multiple elections recently, and it pretty much does kind of the same thing when you compare it with the results of who wins, what their policies were towards things, and whether or not the public actually liked them, specifically Trump in the 2016, Biden in the 2020. You can see how the market reacts leading up to it, see how the market reacts after it, and you can see the market reacting on the day of it. Now, we are not going to be trading tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to take any trades. If I do, it'll be quick 1 minute, 5 minute trades very early in the morning. But yeah, live tomorrow. We're going to be live at, I think we'll be doing it at 1:30 p.m. BST, an hour earlier than today, or we'll just do it at the same time. I'm not too sure yet. Look out for that, though, and make sure you join tomorrow's stream. It's going to be an absolute banger. I'm going to be educating you. I'm going to be dropping gems, answering your questions, doing polls. Lots of fun. It's not going to necessarily, as I said, it's not going to be trades. Like, we're not going to be sitting here taking trades all day. We're going to be sitting here learning things, watching the election, and being patient together. If you want that, join the stream tomorrow. Quick recap of the analysis, guys. Bitcoin, very clear accumulation. Looks like we are respecting that support and resistance zone. Nah, I'm messing. Fair value gap. But we are respecting that. You know, if we flip up and form a bullish one, you could look at taking an entry over here. It's very indecisive, though, and Bitcoin's probably one of the most volatile things at the moment. If not all the time, it's the most volatile. GBP JPY, we're looking at a very clear start to a consolidation on a higher time frame. We'll see how that plays out. I'm going to just basically remove my analysis and keep it a blank canvas for that. Gold, very clear accumulation starting to play out here as well after that distribution move. GBP USD starting to manipulate. If we come up to here, you can start looking for an entry, especially if we form a nice candlestick pattern after taking that liquidity or coming to the support and resistance. Swiss franc, there's no point looking at that. We're going to delete that. We're going to delete that. We're going to delete that as well. Tomorrow, we're going to be looking at specific pairs like the DXY, which is the dollar. We're going to be looking at all the American pairs, like the American indices, sorry. We're going to be looking at USD pairs and obviously GBP, JPY, Bitcoin and gold as well. But yeah, keep an eye out for tomorrow. I really want to see you there. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a laugh. It's going to be a great time. Going to learn some things. Hope Trump wins. Who do I want to win? Now, obviously, I'm not in America. Now, I have to base my judgment on what I can see online, which isn't the full story, I'm probably aware. But, you know, I think the Trump win would be nicer than anything. In my opinion. Now, I'm not getting into the politics. I'm not here to push Trump winning. I don't care, really. I can trade either outcome. I can trade if Kamala wins. I can trade if Trump wins. Now, when you look at the whole world and how Kamala's coming in with all these regulations and stuff, I don't really agree with that. I'm not going to get into the politics, but I want Trump to win. I think he will. It'll either be a landslide or Kamala will win, I think. That's my point of view. But I think I want Trump to win, but I think Kamala might. It's looking probable now. But as I said, I don't care, really. But yeah, that's the stream, guys. There's not really much else to talk about now. We've done the analysis. We're just looking on GJ, waiting for the perfect settle to occur. It's not really going to be likely because it's a no news Monday, because we're running into an election. Bitcoin, nice manipulation there. Could look at taking a trade, something that looks like this. Gold, wait for that clear price action. GU, wait for that manipulation to end. And that's pretty much it. we're chilling now, guys. We've done the analysis. You've learned some things. Now we can go about our day. Sit on your hands. Be patient. Wait for that exact setup. If you don't know what you're looking for, make sure to write down your exact plan. That's probably that is one of the most important things leading into this week. This week, you've got to stick to your plan. You've got to stick to your risk management, and you've got to be patient. There's going to be a lot of people taking out this week. There's going to be a lot of people losing money, losing funded accounts. There's going to be a lot of people winning money, winning funded accounts, but they're going to probably be gambling. What you need to do is have a clearly written out plan that you know works through backtesting, through trading, through me, anyone else. Follow your risk management plan. Risk no more than 2% per trade. And that's pretty much it. You can chill other than that. As I said, live tomorrow for the election. It's going to be cool. Updates coming to the background. Updates coming to everything. All out balling, as Dan said, balling out of control. The election stream is going to be a banger tomorrow. Going to be in the suit. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a laugh. It's going to be a joke. Hope to see you there. Make sure you look out for the market outlook tonight. That's going to be very important. It's going to be very educational on the election itself. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow's stream. Take care. Have a good rest of your day. And thanks for tuning in.